It's late. The kind of late where the street outside is quiet, but your brain refuses to shut up. The room is dark except for your screen. Your thumb hovers over the keyboard, and before you can talk yourself out of it, you type into the search bar, "I have no friends." You stare at the letters like they're something dirty, like you have just confessed a crime. For a moment you consider deleting them, pretending you never typed that sentence. Seeing it written out does not just feel sad, it feels like a label you would never dare say out loud: pathetic, unwanted, the one nobody chooses. A nasty little voice whispers, "Is this who I am now? The loser on the internet begging strangers for answers?" Your chest tightens, your stomach goes heavy, and the not knowing hurts more than the shame, so you press enter. Here is the strange part: on paper, you are not alone. There are coworkers, that old school group chat, people at the gym, neighbors you nod to, classmates who still watch your stories. Your life is not an empty desert. Yet when you write, "I have no friends," you are not counting contacts, you are naming something else. I do not have my people. I do not have the ones I can fall apart with and not get quietly dropped. If that mix of loneliness, envy and quiet shame feels familiar, this video is for you. For the next little while, let us stop pretending. Let us look straight at what sits under that sentence, "I have no friends," where it comes from, why it hurts so much, and what tiny, realistic moves you can make. Not to magically summon a perfect friend group, but to stop treating your loneliness like a personal curse that proves you are defective. Think about a few ordinary scenes in your life. There is the group chat that is never fully dead, full of memes, voice notes, "You will not believe what happened at work," birthday spam. You send laughing emojis, add your own stories, and sometimes you even enjoy it. But when something actually cracks open in your life, your first thought is not, "I should tell them," it is, "I do not know who, if anyone, I could call." There is lunch at work or school. You sit at the table, say the right things, drop a funny line, everyone nods and laughs. They would probably describe you as easy to talk to, chill, good vibes. Yet while you are nodding along, another part of you is thinking, "Nobody here has any idea what my life really looks like." You feel like an extra in a movie you are supposed to be starring in. Then there is your birthday. Dozens of "happy birthday" messages, maybe a cake, maybe a small gathering. The photos look fun, the comments say, "So grateful for you." At the end of the night you close the door and the silence thickens. You sit on your bed, stare at your phone and think, if I had not planned anything, would anyone have noticed? Would anyone have actually tried to find me? This is a very specific kind of loneliness. Not, "I literally know nobody." Not, "I never leave the house." It is the loneliness of feeling unpicked. The loneliness of being liked, but not chosen. Being invited, but never really held. That sick, quiet thought, everyone seems to have at least one person they can be a mess with and still belong. Why do I feel like a guest in my own life? Sometimes the disgust turns inward. You look at group photos and think, I am clearly the extra, the one you can crop out. You replay conversations and cringe at your own jokes, your own stories, the way you looked. You tell yourself, I must be annoying. I must be strange. I must give off something that makes people keep me at arm's length. You are not just lonely, you are ashamed of being lonely. You try to gaslight yourself out of it. Objectively, my life is not that bad, other people have it worse, I should not complain. But late at night another sentence pushes through, if I disappeared, whose everyday life would actually change? Who would notice in the way that really matters? That question cuts deep, because it does not come out of nowhere. It has roots in your past, and in the way this strange modern world is built. None of us arrived in adulthood with a blank idea of what being with people means. Long before you were typing sad sentences into search bars, your body was collecting data. It was learning, what happens when I reach out? What happens when I am messy, needy, too loud, too quiet? It built a private rule book about connection before you even knew what the word meant. There was a British psychiatrist called John Bowlby who watched children and their caregivers very closely. He noticed something simple: kids build an invisible map of how relationships work. He called it an internal working model, but you can think of it as a quiet blueprint for connection. It lives underneath your thoughts and tells your body what to expect when you risk being seen. If, when you cried, someone usually noticed and came, if you could be clingy or upset or confused and still be held, your body learned a wordless truth: when I reach out, someone tends to show up. I am allowed to be as I am and still be kept. For you, together does not automatically mean on trial. It can feel like a place where you can breathe and not constantly perform. If instead you met sharp words, eye rolls, a parent lost in their own chaos, or someone who was physically there but emotionally far away, another truth settled in. Maybe you got attention when you were funny, useful, impressive or helpful, and got pushed away when you were too much. Your body learned, to stay connected, I have to edit myself. I must be easy, entertaining, low maintenance. If I show too much need, I might be punished or ignored. You never wrote that rule down, but you have been following it for years. So now, as an adult, maybe you are the one who always listens, always understands, always adapts to everyone else's moods. Maybe you latch on quickly and panic at the first sign of distance. Maybe you keep a polite distance, because the idea of being left again feels unbearable. Underneath very different behaviors lives the same old blueprint: love is something I can lose if I show too much. Now put that inner fear into the way modern life works. People move cities and countries for study, work, visas, escape. Work eats your best hours and your best attention. You commute, you doom scroll, you answer emails at 11 p.m., and your brain feels like a browser with too many tabs. Most of us live in tiny boxes, rooms, or shared spaces where everyone hides behind headphones. There are fewer long, messy, shared spaces where friendships grow by accident. So you carry an inner terror of being too much into a world that leaves almost no room for raw, unpolished closeness. You feel like you have to be always fine, always light, always entertaining. Of course your nervous system freaks out when you sense distance. Of course a quiet weekend feels like a threat instead of a rest. Your body is not being dramatic. It is doing what human bodies are wired to do. Studies show that social pain, being left out or rejected, touches some of the same brain areas as physical pain. Being excluded is not just in your head in a poetic way, your system logs it as hurt. So when you walk into a room and feel invisible, that tightness in your chest is your body saying, this matters. This is danger. You are not weak for feeling this. You are responsive, tuned in, maybe too tuned in, but for a reason. Here is one tiny shift to try the next time that wave hits. Instead of jumping straight to, I am pathetic, see if you can name it like this: my old map just lit up. My body thinks alone means abandoned again. It will not make the pain vanish, but it moves you from, I am the problem, toward, this is a pattern I learned. There is another layer. Your sensitivity is not just a curse, it is a radar that refuses to shut up. Think about how much you pick up without trying. A pause in someone's reply. The way their tone changes when you talk about something you care about. The difference between being included and being tolerated. The difference between people who are glad you are there and people who are simply not rude enough to push you out. Many people do not want to notice these things. They drown the signal in noise. They stack their schedule until there is no space to feel the gap. They live in small talk and jokes, keeping everything light. They decide that this is just adult life and never stay still long enough to feel how lonely they actually are. For you, that trick only works for a while before the radar starts buzzing again. You are in a group, everyone is laughing, the room is loud, and a small voice inside says, none of them really know what is going on with you. You are at dinner, telling stories, and then you go to the bathroom, catch your face in the mirror and feel that hollow drop, I could disappear from these people's lives and almost nothing would change. The joke suddenly tastes like cardboard. Carl Rogers, another psychologist, spent decades listening to people in quiet rooms. He came to a very human conclusion: what really heals us is not perfect advice, but being with someone who lets you show up as you are and still makes you feel worth being with. No mask exam, no performance test, no secret grading. Just the sense that you can arrive as yourself and not be pushed away. When you secretly wish for one person who actually sees you and does not roll their eyes or disappear, that is not childish fantasy. It is Rogers' idea in everyday language. You are not asking for a film script. You are asking for a place where you can stop acting and still be kept close. That wish is not evidence that you are needy, it is evidence that you are still alive inside. This sensitivity does not make you morally above people who are happy with lighter connections. But it does make you less able to lie to yourself. You cannot fully swallow the idea that a busy weekend and a buzzing chat equal true friendship. You know the difference between being entertained and being known, and your body refuses to forget it. That is painful, and it is also the part of you that refuses to settle for being half seen forever. If you replay the last few years, you might notice a slow cycle. There are phases where you try very hard to stay in circles that do not really fit. You accept every invitation because being left out completely feels worse than being half in. You listen to other people's dramas, help them move, edit their messages, talk them through breakups. People say, "You are such a good friend, I do not know what I would do without you." You walk home after those nights feeling weirdly empty. Nobody asked how you really were. When you hinted at something, the conversation slipped away. You were the supporting character in everyone else's story. You close your door and feel used, and then feel stupid for feeling used. You tell yourself you are being dramatic, but the ache stays. Then comes the slow fade. You stop replying right away. You say, maybe, instead of, yes, to plans that always leave you drained. You mute some chats, tell yourself, I am just tired, I need to focus on work, I guess I am more of an introvert. Underneath, something in you is saying, I cannot keep auditioning for the role of friend while nobody shows up for me. You might cancel at the last minute or pull away so gently that nobody can even call it drama. You might vanish from a group and then hate yourself for ghosting. You might spend entire weekends alone, pacing between your phone and your kitchen, trying to decide whether you are being brave or just sabotaging yourself. The line between self-protection and self-isolation blurs. In the middle of all this, the self-disgust peaks. You sit in your room and think, maybe it really is just me. Maybe I am the strange one, the clingy one, the one people are polite to but never invite into the center of their lives. Maybe there is something off about me that normal people can smell. It feels like you are finally telling a harsh truth about yourself. This is where it becomes easy to fall into two traps. In the first, you turn your pain outward and call it protection. Everyone is fake, people are trash, nobody has depth. It feels strong, like your loneliness proves you are more real than they are. In the second, you turn the knife fully inward. I am too much, I am not enough, I ruin every group, if even these almost friends do not choose me, whoever will? Both stories are half true and half lie. Both can turn into cages if you live in them. The harder, less dramatic reality is that people are complicated and inconsistent, including you. We all have blind spots and we all miss chances to really see each other. You are not cursed, and you are also not some flawless angel abandoned by cruel idiots. You are a person with a very sensitive need trying to protect it in a clumsy world. Let us talk about the cost and the quiet strength hidden inside all of this. This kind of loneliness is exhausting. It does not just hurt your feelings, it seeps into your energy, your focus, your sense of who you are. Weekends can feel like exams you are failing. You scroll and think, everyone has somewhere to be, everyone has someone expecting them. You walk around a supermarket feeling like the only one who does not have a real team. Even simple questions like, "Any plans for the weekend?" can feel like a test you do not know how to pass. Birthdays become strange, either you organize something and half watch yourself from the outside, or you organize nothing and then panic that nobody will remember. Holidays can feel like you are a guest in other people's stories. It reaches into your body. Your sleep is off, your appetite swings, your chest feels heavy for no clear reason. You carry a constant background fear: I am somehow both too much and not enough. If people really knew me, they would leave, and if they never really know me, I will stay lonely forever. It is a cruel double bind that makes even rest feel dangerous. In that exhaustion, contempt feels like a shield. Thinking everyone else is shallow is easier than thinking maybe I am unlovable. Rolling your eyes at other people's selfies and squad photos feels safer than admitting, I want that so much it burns. But if you stay in that contempt too long, it does not only keep out the fake people. It keeps out everyone. It hardens around you like armor that slowly becomes a cage. Quiet strength looks different. It is smaller and less dramatic, but it is there. It is the part of you that says no to yet another night of being the therapist friend for people who never ask how you are. It is the part that notices, I always leave this group feeling worse, and actually lets you leave. It is the part that decides, I will not dump my deepest self in front of people who have shown me they cannot hold it. From the outside, these moves can look like being distant or too picky. On the inside, they are the first drafts of self-respect. They look like answering a little slower, saying, I cannot tonight, choosing to stay home instead of going somewhere that always ends with you feeling like furniture. They look like saving some of your stories and your real thoughts for people who might actually earn them. So what can you do with all of this on some random Tuesday night when the sentence, I have no friends, hits like a punch? Let us start very small. You are lying in bed, phone in hand, doing the usual scroll. You see yet another group photo, another story from a night out you were not invited to. That familiar wave rises, I have no friends. Nobody wants me. I am pathetic. You cannot always control that first thought, it is automatic. But maybe this time you do not let it own the whole night. You could try adding a few words to it. Right now I do not have people I feel safe being myself with. It is not pretty and it does not suddenly feel good, but it is different from, I have no friends. One sentence says, I am the problem. The other says, my current connections do not fit what I need. You can even whisper it, right now I do not have safe people. That hurts. It does not mean I am a joke. You are not forcing gratitude or pretending you are fine. You are just being more precise. That tiny bit of precision makes more space for change than the blunt hammer of, I am a loser. It gives your pain a shape that is painful, but not hopeless. Another day, when you have a bit more energy, you might do a quiet scan of your circle. No spreadsheets, no dramatic purges. Just you and maybe a notebook or notes app, asking, how do I actually feel around the people I talk to most? Think of a few names. After each one, check your body, do I feel heavier or lighter after we talk? Do I feel like I have to perform? Have they ever really asked how I am? You are not grading them like students, you are noticing your own nervous system. Then, instead of deciding you have to burn your whole social life down, think in tiny shifts. What is one way to give a little less of yourself to someone who always leaves you drained? Maybe you stop answering at midnight. Maybe you stop saying yes to every favor. Maybe you stop sharing your deepest stuff with the friend who turns it into gossip. And what is one way to give a little more to someone who feels neutral or quietly okay? Maybe there is a person you always have decent small talk with but never go deeper. You could send them a message that is one step more real than usual. You could say, hey, do you want to grab a coffee sometime, and see what happens? You are not hunting for a soulmate, you are just shifting where you pour your limited energy. There is also the slow way of moving toward your people, through what you genuinely care about, not through panic. Desperation energy, I must find friends right now or I will die alone, is understandable, but intense. People can feel when they are being asked to fix your entire history. Connection grows better in air that is pressured, but not choking. Instead, pick one space where people gather around something you actually like or need. A class, a club, a game, a volunteer project, an online community around a topic that does not make you hate yourself. Not 10 places at once, just one. Promise yourself you will show up there more than once, that you will not judge it on the first awkward time when everyone feels strange. Each time you go, let yourself be seen a little more, think of it as 2% more. Tell a slightly truer answer when someone asks how you are. Admit that you are new. Offer a small kindness to someone else who looks lost. Most people you meet will not become close friends, and that is all right. You are training a muscle, approaching instead of always withdrawing. You are proving to your nervous system that not every group is hostile territory. You are teaching yourself that you can risk small amounts of realness and survive. And if all of this feels far too heavy to even start, if the sentence, "I have no friends," comes with such a rush of shame and old memories that you feel like you might break, this is where getting help is not weakness, it is wisdom. Talking to a therapist, counselor, or support group is not about being fixed by a professional. Think of it as renting a small safe room where you can practice being yourself in front of another human and watch the ceiling not fall down. A room where you get to say, "I feel like a pathetic, unwanted extra," and instead of laughing or changing the subject, someone leans in and says, "Tell me more." You do not have to do this forever or tell them everything on the first day. But it can be the first place where your nervous system learns, I can be seen and not immediately thrown away. It can be a training ground for the kind of connection you actually want, not just a repair shop for everything that has gone wrong. That is not failure, it is practice. I want to circle back to where we started, the search bar, the bed, the glowing screen, the sentence you are almost ashamed to look at. I have no friends. You will probably think that again. Tonight, next week, on some random afternoon when a plan falls through. We are not trying to delete it from your brain. We are trying to change what stands next to it. So next time it appears, maybe you let another line stand beside it, even if at first you do not believe it. Of course I feel this. Nobody really showed me how to build the kind of closeness I need. This pain does not prove I am unlovable. It proves the part of me that still wants something real is alive. That is not cheap comfort. It is a more honest diagnosis. Somewhere, John Bowlby would nod and say your old blueprint of connection is slowly being redrawn, learning that you do not have to twist yourself into shapes just to be allowed near people. And Carl Rogers would remind you that you deserve relationships where you do not have to put on a show so they do not disappear. Those are not fancy theories, they are permission slips. You are not broken for needing people this much. You are not pathetic for feeling the lack of real friendship instead of pretending you do not care. You are not behind in life because you do not have a big, loud group photo to post every weekend. You are a human whose hunger for real connection has survived far more than you give yourself credit for. Maybe tonight the only rebellion you can manage is to tweak one sentence in your head. Or to send one slightly more honest message than usual. Or to not apologize for asking someone, "Can I tell you something real?" That already counts. That is already you refusing to disappear from your own life, even if nobody else sees the effort yet. On the nights when you end up here again, typing, "I have no friends," into a box on a glowing screen, you can come back to this place. Put your headphones on. Let another voice sit next to yours for a while. And when you take the headphones off, you will not suddenly have 5 best friends, but you might have one new thought about yourself that is not just, "I am unwanted." Maybe you feel a tiny bit less cursed, a tiny bit more like someone in the middle of a hard chapter rather than the failure at the end of the story. You are not the only one in this hallway between isolation and real closeness. You are not the only person standing outside other people's circles, wondering if there will ever be a door for you. You are not broken. You are not a joke. You are in the hardest part of the story, the part where nothing makes sense yet and you still, somehow, keep going.